G'day, Newcastleians. Welcome back after a long absence to the Jetstream podcast. We thought there's a bit of things happening around the Jets. It might be actually worth recording an episode this week. Apologies it wasn't earlier on in the week, but the only time we could get a couple of us together to talk over what's going to happen on the weekend was today. So you'll get this in your ear holes on Friday. Recording this Thursday night before a fairly not a momentous fixture, but a interesting fixture nonetheless takes place on Saturday. But before we do that, I'm Furns. Welcome back. Like I said, after a long absence after the wrap up of the season, a lot of news and stuff has gone on. We're not going to go into every single thing that's happened, but we're going to spend most of the time talking about the Australia Cup run and the final. Drop in a few news tidbits here and there, and we'll save a lot of the squad in-depth discussion for the season preview, which will take place at a time to be determined. We'll put that as TBA in in the calendar. But we'll get into it now. But thanks very much for coming back and for joining us. And I've got two of my fellow contributors jumped on the call with me. It's g'day to Matt. Welcome back, mate. How's the off-season been for you?
Thank you once again for having me, Furns. It's almost like a debut again. It feels like it's been that long.
Yeah, there's been a few false starts.
Have to dust off the headset and warm up the vocal cords and all the rest of it.
Change the settings around, trying to make the audio quality peak.
Learn some more player names.
Yeah.
Season's been good. From a personal perspective and even a Jets perspective, I guess, sort of seeing changes in the club and the results that have sort of happened, even disregarding, I guess, the Australia Cup games where we haven't looked that great. It has been like a pleasant sort of surprise to sort of see the changes that have sort of already occurred, I guess, in the short Milligan reign.
Absolutely. Well, that's a fairly long introduction, but nice preamble nonetheless. And the other person we need to introduce is a big welcome back to Andy, mate. Long time no listen. And how's things been for you?
Mate, wonderful. What a word, ear holes.
Yeah, I've been trying to ram it in, but yeah.
Well, I've just noticed something, Ferns, looking at the squad that old Jess Van Stratton's back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it must be, I'm assuming, goalkeeper coach. But,
yep. We're on the up and up.
He's back at the club again.
Yeah.
So good to see things coming full circle.
Yep, absolutely. And how's your off season been? You've been away for a while, and how's things been going? How's your life been treating you?
Oh, mate, things are going well. We'll set aside, there's various different legal things that we'll go through and a few other things, but that's getting sorted through so we can talk about the Jets and hopefully run through what they've been doing and hopefully what they will do over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're obviously talking about the Australia Cup run, which has seen us. It's been. Matt, the Australia Cup has been a bit of a, not necessarily a bugbear, but a bit of a competition that most of us have sort of treated with as a bit of an afterthought, a bit of a joke. It's we've always gotten knocked out by either Adelaide or Perth in most of the editions. It's been Macarthur in recent seasons, but we've and now to coin the episode title early, our cup runneth over.
I wouldn't say we've treated it as a joke. It's just probably exposed the squad very early on in the season to being a bit of a joke, and that's the pessimist in me coming out already.
I don't think the club's treated it like a joke. I think maybe the fans have never sort of really had a sense of optimism when it's come to this competition.
Yeah, true. I remember going to an away trip, it would have been 5 years ago now in Melbourne, just to see the cup game down there when Naboo, first year that Naboo started playing for them, for victory, and I was all excited for it. It's just been it's almost like we've shown glimpses in the preseason and gone, oh yeah, we're going to go well in the cup, we're going to go well in the season, and then we get knocked out first time we play A-League opposition. So been a really pleasant surprise. not just in, I guess, the skill level that's been shown on the pitch, but the drink mentality that's also been shown because we've had a couple of tough games. We've had a couple of easy games, and we've had a couple of tough games. And I think other squads may have fallen at these early hurdles. So yeah, it's been pleasant to watch. Let's put it that way.
What's been your thoughts on Andy, how we've sort of looked at the competition from your perspective, and then the run so far?
I think for us, we've never done that well in the FFA Cup, the Australia Cup, whatever it's termed as over the years. So therefore, it's always been, we play the first game and we do okay, and then we get flogged in the second or something like that. But for this year to go out, the first game against Adelaide was obviously competitive, and we come home with the win, and that gave the whole, local derby, and to get a big win there. And then we went on to A-League again, and it's been a good test of Brad as a squad. And I think the biggest thing is, if I'm not mistaken, we win that one, it puts us into the Asian Champions League, which obviously I don't think we get back into via any other way just yet.
I don't think it's straight into Asian Champ. I think it's ACL 2. I don't think it's into the proper competition. Or
let's call it the Champions League.
Well, it is Champions League. Look, yeah. Anyway, well, I'll clarify that as the recording goes on, so that I'm not
I also think it's the ACL 2.
Frantically typing, but
look, I saw something about that. It's worth $1 million to us if we get in, or something like that.
We win it, I think.
Win it, and
yeah.
So
three more exercise bikes.
Yeah, absolutely. Which we may need. Look, yeah. So look, I mean, I've always sort of approached the cup as with a sense of pessimism, especially with all the upheaval that happens to the Jets during the off season, let alone what happens during the season. But it's sort of something we've never really.
I think it's when it starts though. Like it's so early.
Yeah.
On like if it's not like obviously it's never going to be like, but they started it sort of based on the model of obviously the FA Cup, which is a bit more in the season and running sort of parallel. Whereas if this is almost like a drawn out pre-season tournament.
Yeah. And Matt, that's the way they've structured the competition to advantage the NPL teams, because by the time you're getting into where the A-League teams come in, the NPL seasons are in full swing and the A-League's finished and they're in their off-season. So apart from all of the NPL teams or the lower-ranked teams getting all the home games, being able, their ability to play these games during their season, which presents its own challenges for them, but they're sort of match fit, whereas our players are not necessarily that. It's sort of the big equaliser, and especially as we've seen when we talk about our opponents on the weekend.
100%. To hear that these guys, who'd we play last? Avondale?
Yes.
They'd played 35 odd games and were at the end of their season and were already knocked out of other matches, so it was all they had to focus on. It would have made a massive difference, like fitness wise. You can train as much as you want, but match fitness is a real thing. So yeah, for them to have their last bite at the cherry, and for the Jet squad to still be trying to get a bit of chemistry and still trying to be match fit and trying to avoid injury, right at the very start of a season, I think that is a massive equaliser. So yeah, the fact that there's been such a big delay in between like the semis and now the final, it really sort of plays into our hands.
Well, does it though, Andy? I think, because Heidelberg will have only had their last game like 2 weeks ago, so they're definitely going to be more prepped than us.
Yeah, and I think we're still adding to our squad. There's still players coming in, people getting different agreements and stuff like that. So Heidelberg should be well placed to perform, and I don't think we can take anything for granted or look at anything as a done deal. I guess the other aspect is that They're obviously hosting it, and the club seems to be doing quite a bit to get Jets fans down there for the game. I've seen talks of buses and a few other things, but it would have been nice to have it up here. But I think also too the I guess romance of what they're trying to do with the Australia Cup, in that you're going to these suburban grounds and you're playing. The smaller team has the ability to host the juggernaut sort of side of it. It would have
We're a
been a bit
juggernaut.
rough.
Well, it would have been
purely
nice
from the fact that we've got an A-League license.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would have been nice to have it somewhere other than bloody Lakeside, which is a ground that's got an athletic track around the pitch. Like, it's just a shame Amy Park was unavailable and Marvel Stadium wasn't going to be feasible, because there's no way we're going to get any more than about 15,000 in it. So if that, but yeah, I mean,
having it at a smaller ground though is probably going to be better for the atmosphere anyway. Like, I still don't think it'll sell out. So
well, they're saying it's pretty close. I think they said, was it 82%? 82% of tickets sold or something like that. It's getting close.
So what's that, like 9,000 people or something?
Let me just find out what the capacity is.
I think it's a 12,000 seater.
Let me just
11,000 seater. But my last point was that the longer the longer the delay in between the semis and this game can only work in our favour, because the NPL season's finished. The NPL season finished like a week or 2 weeks after like the semis did. We're gearing up for the start of ours. So like in my eyes, it would have even been better if this was another month later and we were 2 or 3 rounds into the A-League season. But obviously that can't happen. But when we're playing Macarthur and Cooks Hill, 2-3 months out from the start of the season, you can't really expect much, out of the legs of, the guys that are just coming in, or, they're just coming back from break. So it can only be an advantage for us. And we definitely can't take it for granted. But I think it's much, the odds are stacked much better in our favour having it a month after the semis rather than 2 or 3 weeks after the semis.
So it's
listed looks like it's only 7,400.
7,400 seated, but it's a 12,000. They're saying 12,000 capacity. So
there's maybe 9,500 tickets sold.
Yeah, I'd say so. Anyway,
which that's good though. Like, I mean, you wouldn't want 10 or 12,000 people in Amy Park. At least now it's like a bit of scarcity.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean,
and also if we hosted it at McDonald Jones. Like, I know they say hype and people getting behind it, but you're probably not doing much more than that anyway.
You think? I thought we probably would have got maybe 20,000. I thought for a cup final, I reckon especially on a Saturday night and the league's finished. So I reckon we probably would have, with some hype behind it, which we've barely seen anything of it. I don't know.
A lot of them would have been asking where Nick Carl was.
Yeah, more than likely.
He was playing last time they came to a game.
Is Beckham playing for Heidelberg?
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's a lot of fair weather fans that come out every time the Jets do anything decent.
They haven't seen a game since 2018. So anyway, before we get into poo-pooing things, we'll cast our minds back to, now. Before we started, I know Andy said he hadn't seen much of the other games, but Matt, what have you seen the games in the cup run? Hey.
Way to rat me out.
Oh, not rat me out.
I'm just.
I'm always first to hold my hands up and say I've not seen all the games. I haven't seen the games live. I did watch them all back. But yeah, I didn't want to throw some curly questions at you and you not be able to answer them. So I was just, I was getting you out of the situation of asking your opinions on games you haven't seen.
Oh, don't look at me if your power goes out.
I've watched them all.
Yep.
Bear in mind that we're going back, 2 months or 6 weeks since the last one, so the memory's not that great. And I haven't sat here and rewatched them in the last 24 hours. So I was like,
I haven't either.
prepared for a podcast.
Yeah, I watched the
yes, I
Avondale
have watched
game.
them all.
I watched the Avondale game the day after, because every game that was on, I was bloody working. Of course, is usually the scheduling guides hate me. So the Adelaide game, 2-1 win to the Jets away at Maitland Sports Ground.
Maitland.
Yeah, good game. I thought it sort of helped. We were playing Adelaide at a time when they are in a bit of a sucky period. Lost a few players, bit of upheaval going on behind the scenes. And we were, for a first hit out for a new coach and a bunch of new players, a bunch of younger players, I thought it was overall not the best we've ever played, but obviously not the worst. And, we've gone out in that round of 32 before, but it was good to, put the wood over Adelaide, even if it was in a cup game, because, every time.
I thought it was our toughest game out of the four, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with
going
that.
down early.
Yep.
There were half the squad that I didn't even know the names of.
Yep.
There seems to be a lot of Bs in the squad, or at least that game, with Adelardo, Bracco, Bertoncello.
Okay. So not the annoying insect, the alphabetical kind.
Yeah. It just seems to be the new consonant of choice for they'll run out of Bs in the kit shop. But yeah, it had typical Jets written all over it, when we went down after 15 odd minutes. And
here we go again.
And yeah, exactly. And Wilmering getting skinned, and even in our group chat, I did see a couple of messages, come through about, we need to improve the fullbacks, etc. And I honestly think our team last year would have folded and we would have lost.
Yeah.
But we've shown a couple of times, in the last couple of matches that, if we go behind, well, then we can bring it back. Or if, the other team gets a bit of momentum and equalises, then we can still actually, pull it back together and go on for the win. So I thought out of the 4 matches that we've had in the Australia Cup, that was probably the toughest.
Refresh my memory, Andy, but was that the game in the group chat we were heaping shit on Wilmering, and then basically he was on fire for the next 2 games?
Yeah, we usually have that impact on people.
I got to set that to private. Too many people are looking like the Jet squad of watching our group chat messages.
It's all for the best. We should have done a podcast straight after that, because he would have scored 3 in the next game instead of just 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worked for players in the past. We all remember of the heaping shit on Tarek Elrich and all that way back when, and that turned his form around. And yeah, anyway. Andy, you got any memories of this game?
Heaping shit on Stefan Mork.
Well, that's just a given.
We were.
That's just a given. But at least he didn't come back or did he? Actually, who scored in that game for them?
15 minutes.
That's right. He was. That's the curse strikes.
It was
again.
almost the tap in.
Yep. That's it. Yep. Okay. Andy, did you watch this game or go to it?
I did watch this game from home. I was asked to go to it, but wasn't able to attend. But I remember watching it and saying, the investment that Maitland has put into that facility from a council perspective is, you see the difference between that and number 2 in Newcastle, and you sort of look like, regional council doing more, and 2,000 there, that. Yeah, it's a pretty good pitch, and from what I believe, the men are pretty well full-time training out of Maitland at the moment and stuff like that. So clearly they've gone to the club with a bit of a proposal of, hey, this is what we can do, and they've done it. So good on old Penfold and Maitland Council.
Yeah, well, there's certainly Maitland City Council aren't spending money on flood mitigation, so it's good to see where the money's gone. No,
you can't get a park at Spears Point or the uni, so they had to go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we'll quickly move on to the second game, which was a bit of a Newcastle derby. So threw that up in the round of 16, playing Cooks Hill. That was at number 2. Again, didn't watch it live, watched it back. Looked like it was.
Did you watch this one?
I watched this one back. I watched them all, but you didn't, or you did watch this one?
I did.
You
I
did.
did.
Look, I thought they did. They accounted for themselves very well. It looked like the crowd was like nearly 60-40 Cooks Hill supporters, which
Oh,
was
80-20.
You reckon?
Yeah. I think there were quite a few Cooks
There
Hill
was quite a few
supporters there.
Cooks Hill supporters there. But look, Andy, that they gave a good account of themselves. They made it hard for us, but we were able to fend them off and then counterpunched when it mattered.
Oh, and look, realistically, you would hope that obviously any, you know, NPL side would have their local fans there, that their local fans, if it's not local league playing, they're, Jet fans and what have you. But, they held us there for that solid sort of 20 minutes till Wilmering got his first goal.
Yep.
They definitely were in it. You could see a light dip in quality, like you could see that bit of a gap there. But I think for the first 20 minutes, they definitely held their own. But once that sort of, well, even from 20, the next goal from Bertoncello wasn't until around 40 odd.
Yep,
So
41.
Yep. Another 20 minutes to put that together, and then it sort of, I guess you could say, fell apart for them from there. But
yep.
Again, I remember looking at that night and I thought, if that pitch was up to scratch, that would be, such a good little stadium. Like with 4,000 odd, it's looked pretty well packed, and they would have still put, I don't know what the official capacity is for number 2, but yeah, definitely something to look at.
Yeah. Well, it sort of doesn't bode well, especially with all the issues the women had last season with number 2. That it's still not right. So yeah. As you said, Wilmering scored the first goal in the 20th minute, Bertoncello in the 41st. And then, second half, Matt, I think we pretty much controlled the action. Kota scored in the 52nd, Ben Gibson in the 56th, and then Daniel Wilmering added his second in the 85th. So pretty much the same as what Andy thought on this game?
Yeah, look, they definitely came out all guns blazing. They were out of out of the running for the NPL by that stage. So had nothing else to lose, and it was like the sort of little honeymoon period where they held their own. I think that was probably a little bit to do with the warm up, like the fitness of the Jets as well. But it was a good spectacle. I mean, it was good to get a local derby, and I think it was good to, I guess, see at least Cooks Hill and their fans sort of come out and support the team. But yeah, Cooks Hill at least give it a fair go at the start of the match. But yeah, it wasn't an unexpected result. I think everyone sort of expected that we would have been sort of fairly comfortable winners.
Yep, absolutely. Third game was the quarterfinal against Macarthur at Maitland again. This one was 2,500 and a 3-0 win. Macarthur were weird. I was expecting a much tougher test in this one, Andy, and it didn't really eventuate. We were fairly comfortable for most of it. They did obviously there was a long stretch between the first and second goal where they did not necessarily threaten, but they did control the ball and control possession for periods, but we were able to defend pretty well. And young Max Cooper, I believe, was the player that was drafted in, and I think has got a contract out of it as well, because we had signed another,
and so deserved.
Yeah, and because the Irish centre back we've signed has still not played yet. I think he's still recovering from injury, as is usual. But he amongst the raft of new players, he's been a player that, especially in those 3 games, has sort of really stood out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've thought the same. I thought Macarthur, if I'm correct, they were the winners the year before and were defending sort of champions, and not sure how much of a changeover in their squad they had. I know there was a bit of talk about some things, but I think from memory it was Harrison Sawyer was probably the only player for them that really put any real threat, casting my mind back to this game. But
Didn't they lose one of
yeah.
their strikers like a week or two before the game? Didn't one of their strikers bugger off somewhere else?
Sounds about right. Not a team I follow too closely, to be honest. But
It's all right. Nobody in Macarthur
with
follows
this
them
one,
either.
yeah. But Max Burgess getting on for the first goal there, and his first goal back at the club, and I think Mizunuma this year is actually going to give us a bit more than last year with the full season as well.
Did like I said, I haven't rewatched the game, but I certainly remember watching it on the night and thinking, like Macarthur, I thought they actually had us on the ropes for a little while there, even though we were 1-0 up. Did they have a goal disallowed? Like, am I just imagining that, or
You're
do they go
probably
very,
not.
very close a couple of times during that?
No, you're probably not
period?
imagining it. You're probably not imagining it, but I can't remember heaps of specifics.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a professional podcaster / journalist. So, I didn't sit there and rewatch the games, today like I probably should have. But, I certainly remember watching that game going, yeah, they've, this could be us, like they're going to come back here, because I seem to remember other games versus Macarthur where we've been up, in the league. What was it, last year or the year before? We're up by a couple and they came back. But it ended up being a fairly sort of comfortable win for us, which was good to see. Sort of showed, I guess, the change in not necessarily structure, but the change in
intensity.
I don't want to say mentality again, but
intensity?
the way that we can actually
change in mindset.
Stick to our game plan and actually play it out for the full 90 minutes.
Yeah. Let's go with mindset. That sounds much better. And we won't be.
I think for me, this game was the game that I sort of then thought, if we got through that, high chance of, NPL teams for the rest of it. So we could go, like, that's where I thought we'd go into at least the final, if not further.
Yeah, which brings us to the semi-final against Avondale, which was, that was another really exciting game, I thought. Matt, what about you? Actually, no, we'll go to Andy. Back to Andy.
Yeah, so I watched snippets of this one because I was out, spending the day with the family, so I kept every so often flicking on the Paramount app and checking what was going on. Again, I think for us just to, get out early, from memory, it was they got their penalty at about the 57th minute that made it 2-2, and it was what's going to happen here? But then good to see Eli Adams for the first time, and I thought interesting that he hasn't been included at a level that he was really strong at the back end of last season and for the majority of last season from memory, and to have him again, from what I recall, left out of the squad or at least on the bench for the first couple of games, and then all of a sudden brought into this one and comes on and gets a goal. Definitely.
I'm pretty sure him and Lockie Rose were both listed, especially for those two earlier games, were listed as injuries. So I'm pretty sure that's why we didn't see them. And I think he was in contention for the game against Macarthur, but I think they were just basically said, well, look, it's only we've got options anyway, so we'll just, let him continue recovery and use him on the bench if we need him, but never ended up using him. So, I think that him and Lockie were both sort of injury related as to why we haven't seen a great deal of them during this cup run. But yeah, it was an exciting game, and they were a team that didn't give up either. But they were actually able to capitalize twice on their play, and that Tavir guy that scored their two goals, he was a little pocket rocket. That probably wouldn't have been a bad option to try and sign him. He would have been a handy player to have on a wing.
They were very sharp weren't they? Like at just the pointy end of their season. And they were, from memory, they were minor premiers as well.
Yes,
But
I
yeah,
believe they
that
were.
Tevere, was obviously a standout for them. Pretty sure Lockie Rose got injured in the friendly game against Brisbane, maybe.
You're probably right.
That we had just after the Adelaide match. Adams was definitely coming back from injury. I was certainly nervous when they got back to 2-0. Like they had all the momentum, and I could just sort of see this being like another cup set, as they love to refer to it.
Yeah, if there was any team that was going to capitulate, it was going to be us.
It would have been like the fairy tale too, having Avondale versus Heidelberg that were 1-2 in the Victorian NPL. Like, I'm glad that we got to spoil the dreams of all the purists from south of the border.
Well, so it's what we do.
and like they're going to be crying like after the weekend too.
Yep. Any other thoughts on this game before we talk about the final?
Only interesting that
sorry, you go, Andy.
I was just going to say, interesting that all 3 games or 4 games, apart from obviously the Cooks Hill one, were all 2,500 people.
Yep.
Just a random stat that seems to be that's what we can pull.
Yep. Well, that's what that we round 2.5 of both of the games at Maitland. Obviously, the Cooks Hill supporters definitely came out. Not a bad little ground, that Avenger Park that we played Avondale at. I quite liked it. It was right next to a bloody freeway, but which was
so's another one in the A-League.
Well, yeah, true that. Anyway, that got us into the final, which takes place this Saturday night. 7:40 p.m. kickoff, I believe, is the official start time. From Lakeside Stadium, home of South Melbourne, I believe. Just make of that what you will. Not many, like I said, not many tickets left, according to something, I think I saw it on Instagram, that they said, around 80% of the tickets have been sold, so that's pretty good. A bit of a pain in the ass that they didn't have anything organised in case of, like, you'd think that maybe they'd have looked at, pre-booking a slightly better stadium, but it is what it is. Amy Park was booked, like we mentioned before, it was booked out for, I think it was motocross or something like that. It was taking place there, and any other of the
sounds about right.
Yeah. And they weren't going to. It would have been nice to have it in Newcastle, but it sort of would have been going against what they would have. I thought that we would have got a decent crowd for it, like definitely above 16,000. I reckon we would have been able to, but yeah, it was just being the long weekend.
I'm surprised they didn't split the difference and go to like a Combank or something like that.
I think that would have been stupid.
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, I was half expecting that to happen, but they would have not got many Jet supporters travel to that, and they wouldn't have got many Melbourne people come up either. So it was frustrating.
Well, and they did obviously have the hangover from when they did that deal to have the grand final in Sydney every year for however long.
I was sort of idly flicking through flights from Newcastle to Melbourne. I did notice that most of them were already, just because it was the long weekend, there weren't very many available, and they were all probably looking at about 400 return, which then went up and then sold out. Pretty soon, within a couple of days after the Jets qualified for the finals. So flying down was definitely going to be pricey. Maybe going via Sydney would have been the only option you would have had. Like I said, like we mentioned, there is a supporters bus that is being put on by the FA, a free supporters bus, but it is leaving at insane o'clock and then coming back at insane. I think it leaves like 4:30 a.m. on game day or something like that.
It could be a really good trip home or a really, really bad one.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to drive down there and lose to a second tier club and then have to drive 10 hours back because, I think the buses leave like half an hour after the full time. So, yeah, that would be an interesting bus ride home.
Be very noisy or very, very quiet.
Yeah, you'd probably get well, depending on which way it goes, you'd be getting a lot of sleep or none at all. So yeah, interesting. But I believe there. I don't know what the situation is with the buses, but there are links on the Jets website to sign up for those. So if you are interested in doing that trip, definitely, and you're thinking about making a last minute jump on it, get along to the Jets website. All the links will be there. So looking at some of the stats, head to head. So the Heidelberg have had, like mentioned before, 3 cup sets through the course of the competition. They've knocked out Western Sydney, Wellington, and who was the third team? Auckland, which was a bit of a surprise. Auckland being, premiers and champions, but scored 11 goals, haven't conceded any, kept 4 clean sheets. We've actually scored more. We've scored 14 goals, have conceded 3, and kept 2 clean sheets. So, and Heidelberg, I believe, won their competition. They won
second.
They finished second, but they won the won the finals.
Yeah, they won the final. Sorry, they were second on the ladder.
Yeah, second. So yeah, runners up in the minor premiership and then won the championship. So yeah. Anyway, and they've, again, you can't sort of speak highly enough of them. They've made the most of all their chances, and
they've got the leading goal scorer in the Australia Cup as well. So maybe that's someone else that we should have been looking at full squad now, but their number 9 is, certainly we're going to have to be on our toes.
Yeah, so they've scored the second most goals in the competition. More than half of those have, actually, no, I was reading the wrong part of that. So their goalkeeper has made the most saves in the competition. Their defensive hero Lethlean has had the joint most block shots of any player in the cup, and the joint second most clearances, with only his fellow teammate producing more. Now, who has scored their goals? I'm just trying to find his name.
Bull Jock is or I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but that's the number 9 that scored against Auckland. He didn't score against Wellington, but I know that. I'm fairly confident that he's the leading scorer in the cup. But that probably includes the rounds before the A-League teams were.
So we've had 9 different goal scorers in the cup, more than any other team. No players created more big chances in the cup than Alex Badalato, and Max Burgess has had 3 assists. And Koto has had the most key passes, as well as being the top goal scorer, apparently.
There you go. I'm glad I didn't put money on it.
And there was an interesting video popped up with the Bassetto family having a foot in both camps, I believe. Andy, did you see this earlier on today?
I didn't. So maybe you can enlighten me on that one.
So what about you, Matt? Did you see this?
No, I haven't either. So it was news, breaking news.
Well, no, but it's not really. But
Furns has got the scoop.
Well, so we know Morris Bassetto is obviously is obviously the executive chairman of the Jets, but in Heidelberg is his son Max, who's going to be playing and attempting to beat his father's club, Max Bassetto. So there was there was an interesting little skit on the I'm not sure if it was the Jet socials or the Australia Cup socials, but I did see it. Basically, a setup was a family dinner, and
He should ground him.
Hilarity ensues. But yeah, I think, and apparently he scored a goal too. Just trying to. He's a left winger, so 21 years of age, and yeah, playing for Heidelberg. So there'll be the Bassetto
Yeah, he scored
family,
against he scored against Wellington
and he's
when they won 4-0.
yeah. So Bassetto family foot in both camps in this game. But so Andy, what are your thoughts? Like I said, Heidelberg had a brilliant run in the cup, won the NPL championship or the final series. They're not going to be pushovers. They've already knocked out three A-League teams without conceding a goal.
Yeah. No, I definitely don't think we can go into this saying that it's fait accompli, because there's also, classic Jets and all that sort of stuff that happens. So I'm still optimistic that we're going to have a season that is one of two ways. We're either going to win the cup and then probably go horribly in the league, or we'll miss out on the cup and that'll give us the motivation to, scrape into the finals or something like that. I just haven't seen enough holistically yet to say, we're definitely going to do either of those things.
And obviously, Matt, the manager, is somebody who I'm very familiar with, John Anastasiadis, someone who, along with a certain Arthur Pappas, was an option for coach that we've been banging on about for seasons now. And it's good that he's back in a head coach role and showing what he can actually do with limited resources. I'm really surprised he hasn't had an A-League gig as yet. He's been an assistant coach. I think he was at Western United. I could be wrong. He's definitely been an assistant coach in the A-League. But he's a coach with a lot of pedigree. He's performed at a number of Victorian clubs, and he's just going from strength to strength. So he's not going to be. He's a seasoned campaigner going up against a coach in Mark Milligan, who's at the beginnings of his coaching career.
Yeah, the name has certainly been around the top tier of Australian football for a while. And looking at the way that he's played against these sort of other A-League teams, I did watch the game versus Auckland, and I rewatched the game versus rewatched the game versus Wellington. It was interesting to sort of see how comfortable that his team are in defence. Almost like a Merrick sort of aura about him. They're very good on the counter attack.
Hopefully, he's got more than one facial expression.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't want to play poker against Merrick, that's for sure.
No.
He seemed to have it like they seemed to have it all over Auckland, even though they didn't necessarily have the ball. Like Auckland just weren't threatening at all, and it'd be interesting to sort of see if he's noticed weaknesses like in Newcastle's play that they can potentially exploit. I'm not sure that given the extra time that we've had to prepare for the game and the extra miles in the legs, etc., that they're going to be able to control the tempo of the match, or even that they'll strive to, given the way they've sort of played the last couple of Australia Cup games. It's just whether or not I think that he can identify our weaknesses and where they're going to be able to advance the ball quickly and the opportunities they'll have to score, and whether Milligan has been able to, I guess, reinforce his ethos on the team and his the style of play like that he's obviously trying to ingrain in them. We seem to be very, very good at playing the ball out, but we also seem to mix it up quite a bit as well, which was maybe a criticism that I had about Pappas, was that there was no plan B. We've played long balls when it's been called for, just to sort of spread the field. that little bit more and create a bit more space so that then we can start playing it out again. But there's also been some fantastic passages of play where, was it the Will Dobson goal, where we strung like 15 or 16 passes together and played it out from the back, and that was great football to watch. So it's daunting looking at their record, especially the last 3 matches against A-League opposition where they haven't really been challenged. But I'm more than optimistic. I think that we should win this game, and I think we will win this game. I don't think it'll be an easy game by any stretch, but I think we have to go in as favourites, and I think that we have to go in and control the match. And even if, unfortunately, like they score a goal and they do get up, I feel like we've got the caliber of team, and we've got the right sort of, I guess, mindset in the playing group that we can come back. We did it against Adelaide. We've played against adversity. Against Avondale. I'm confident going into this.
Well, we've heaped enough praise, I think, on the Burgers, so we'll get into talking about more of our players and our squad without getting into too much transfer talk, but talking about the players that we've seen during this cup run. It's been interesting to see a couple of younger players brought in, Andy, players like Battlelardo, Bertoncello, Max Burgess, Max Cooper. These sort of players have really sort of stood out during these 4 games and stood up. And we've even seen, like we've mentioned, appearances from Nunez. We've seen Dobson. So there's quite a few younger players that, it's sort of along the lines of what we saw in the Stanton's first season, where we started seeing the emergences of Clayton Taylor and players of that ilk that started in that season. So we're sort of seeing we've had a couple of players move on, and those players have been brought in, and they've quite a few of them have stood up in games, and it's been great to see.
Definitely great to see. I think with this one too, we're seeing players that are coming through from the academy side of things, so like the Christian Brackos of the world, and but we're also seeing, as I've said in this pod already, Mizunuma getting a few in. Like, the goals are coming across the park. It's not just one person that's putting them away. So because of that, I think there's a pretty bright future for us for this season, and some of those players that were continuing from last year, your Lockie Roses, your Eli Adams, who aren't necessarily the first choice guaranteed start and have to play for their position, can only be good as well. And also, a thing I've noticed, but clearly Bertoncello does not miss leg day. You've seen the calves on that thing. So, yeah, hopefully that means plenty of goals there as well.
What have been your thoughts on those players, and anyone else that stood out to you, Matt? It's going to be a shame we're not going to see Battlelardo, obviously, in the final, because he's over at the Under-20s World Cup, but he's certainly been a player that stood out.
For me, Max Cooper at the back has been, probably the real find. Like, what is he, 18 or something? He's playing centre back. He's kept, the other established backs that we've had, over the last couple of seasons on the bench, even when Sushna couldn't play because he was suspended last match. We didn't seem to lose our shape or, lack the leadership that we maybe have, previously. So like he's definitely been a standout. Like, Bertoncello with his goals has been great. I do remember reading an article a few weeks ago that Milligan was saying that we just didn't have enough scholarship players, that we had two or something, on the roster when he was appointed.
Yeah.
And he said that we needed at least half a dozen, and I think we've got 7 now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
which
just
is only
gone
going to be
spate of signing them.
Oh, sorry.
He's gone at a spate of signing scholarships.
Yeah. I mean, there's been like 5, I think, in the last sort of 3 weeks that have all been signed to scholarship deals. But it's and they're quality players as well. Like Battlelardo, who was really good playing for the under-20s in the Asia Cups, agreed to stay with us and agreed on a scholarship deal. So obviously the right things are sort of happening there in the background of the club, and it's good that they're actually getting game time as well. And Milligan has got that sort of, I guess, gritty sort of personality that you sort of saw on the pitch as well during his playing days. Like, you don't get 50 odd caps for Australia if you're a shit player. You don't play in Europe as well if you're a shit player. So he knows what he's talking about, and I think it's probably rubbing off on the playing group. He's sort of shown faith where he's needed to. He's made changes where he's needed to, and it's been good that the changes that he's been making seem to be relatively positive. Like, if we're one up in a game, he doesn't just go and sub out fullbacks or holding midfielders. He'll bring attackers on and actually go and try and score an extra one. So the whole idea of the parking the bus that Stanton had ingrained in the club last year sort of seems to have gone out the window. And it's great to keep clean sheets, but you only have to score one more than the opposition to win. So I feel like there's a lot more opportunity in the club for people that aren't already in that first 11, and that's probably what you need to drive competition.
So just looking at the Jets website, scholarships being signed by Burton Cello, Richard Nkomo, Lucas Cicluna, Max Cooper, Christian Bracco, and Alex Nassiap have all been signed to scholarship deals, and there's probably one or two others in there as well. But yeah, there's been quite a few younger players brought in, and we've usually been a club that's been able to develop younger players. It's just a problem we've never been able to hang on to them, and they go on to do bigger and better things elsewhere. So hopefully with the club on the up and up and not being down in the financial doldrums of the past, we'll be able to hang on to these players a little bit longer and make some money off them.
Funnily enough, we are in the financial doldrums. It's just the rest of the league is as well. It's leveled it out.
Clayton Taylor's agent trying to get him out of the club, notwithstanding. But anyway, we'll leave those sleeping dogs lie. All right. So
see, but the thing is too, he goes now, and we've got people to cover him.
No one cares.
Clayton Taylor's not first choice anymore.
Especially after it hasn't played the last half a dozen games. Like, he'd actually have to fight to get his position back when you've got Burton Cello, Battalato, who's away on international duty, Max Burgess, who has been playing out of his absolute skin after sitting on the sidelines for a season. He's not going to walk back into the team,
and he shouldn't. But also, if he's going to go, he shouldn't be going for free. Someone should be paying for him, and that's the whole reason you sign players with potential. So that's the. I'm pretty sure that's the whole ethos behind what Maverick Sports Partners are doing, and that's why he's still here. And we just haven't gone, oh, well, you don't want to play for us, you can go. It's no, you signed a contract last season for 2 more seasons. You're under contract. We're not just going to rip it up when you're worth money.
Absolutely.
So someone can buy you if you want to leave. But anyway, we'll get into that. We've just got into it, and we'll just leave it there. Anything else we need to cover off before we give some score predictions? Haven't really got. It'd be interesting to see whether Joe Shaughnessy is fit enough to make a start in this game. And do you put him on in a final, or do you go with what got you there?
You go with what got you there, surely. The thing is, none of the players that have got you there have done anything wrong.
Shuzna's gone close a couple of times.
Action's a wonderful thing, is all I'll say. But that's probably the last time.
Yeah, but can we bag him a bit more? Because I feel like when we did that to Wilmering, he scored 2 goals the next week.
Yeah.
So Slushner, you're shit.
I just don't want it to go the other way where he just gets too angry about it and then ends up getting a red card in the first 5 minutes. So
I'm pretty sure that
knock on wood.
a weekend podcast isn't really going to affect him.
Yeah,
but,
hopefully not. But look, he's him and Cooper have done really well in the centre of defence. Be really nice. Well, actually, predictions for a starting 11. Delianov or was Noah James? Hopefully, he's going to be fit in time for this game. Which of those two keepers would you pick?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? So it'll be Delianov.
Yeah.
Righto.
Yeah.
So
isn't James out for the season?
I thought that was the initial.
It's quite some time.
He's out, but I don't think it's as bad as what they thought it was initially. But he is going to be out. But yeah, I mean, we've got Delianov there. I was a little bit hesitant when we signed him because he didn't really look that great when he was in goals for Adelaide. But then again, we've got Jess Van Straten back at the club, so that's only going to help him. Back line of Aquilina, Sujna, Cooper and Wilmering. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah, I think so.
No one's disagreeing. Midfield. So this is where it gets interesting. I'm guessing we're all going to go with Grozos in the defensive midfield role. But who do we put around him? Matt. Bayliss.
Well, Grozos played in the back line.
Yeah, I think that was
last match.
Yeah, that was because
to cover and Nada came in. So just depending on whether you're playing sort of 3 at the back or 4 at the back, it's quite possibly like you're just moving Grozos forward and taking Battleido's spot.
Yep.
Yeah, or if assuming you're keeping Natter on, which he didn't have a bad game last season. Like I still rate Natter. He's had his ups and downs, for the club. I still think he's got a bit to offer. He can't be he's like the Nikolai Topper-Stanley, the haircut as well. Early in his career where he just needed a strong presence near him just to guide the ship. I don't think he's a bad player. He just sort of seems to wander a little bit if he doesn't have sort of someone else on the back post telling him where to go. So, I think that Slushny will come in and Grozos will just move forward.
And hopefully the change in coach is sort of maybe will breathe a little bit of fresh life into his game. But we'll see what happens. Andy, what about you? What are your thoughts on who we put in the middle of the park? Because like I said, you got Bayliss, Taylor. You got younger players, Nunez, Fryer, Dobson.
Is Bayliss fit and is Ben Gibson fit?
Yeah, I believe they both are.
You would think with a month between games that they would have
certainly fitter than any of us anyway.
Well, that's not difficult, especially when it comes to comparing them to me.
Roski's probably more match fit than any of us.
And you've also got Joel Bertolicio. Burton Cello's played really well in the middle of the park. So, who do you pick? You've got and Burgess as well. You've got any number of players. Hopefully Lockie Rose is fit.
Yeah, I think Cooper in the back with then Bayliss, Burgess, Battleido.
So I've got a feeling they'll probably run it like more with Grozos and Burgess in midfield, like even Burgess playing slightly in front. But he was all over the pitch last game, dropping back to pick up the ball and even though I think on paper it might look sort of like a diamond, I've got a feeling that Burgess will be the main man again. Like he's really sort of stepping up. Was he captain last match? I think I've got a feeling he might have been, or even though Grozos was on the pitch, I've got a feeling Burgess might have been captain, or maybe that was the game before.
Yeah, he was on one of them. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to.
he's definitely worn the armband, and he just sort of he's obviously got roots in the area, even though he's played everywhere else but here. Yeah, I've got a feeling it'll be Grozos and Burgess in the middle of the park anyway.
I'm just trying to find a squad list for the last game, but nothing's popping up for anywhere I can
I've
see.
got one. Delanov in goals. That they listed it as 3 at the back: Cooper,
Yep.
Grozos, Natter. So you replace Grozos at the back with Sushnia.
Yep.
Wilmering, Battleado, Burgess, Aquilina. So I think that 3 out of the 4 of them will obviously stay, and Grozos will probably take Battleado's spot there. And then they had Bertoncello, Rose, and Mizunuma at the front. And it's the Ben Gibson, Lucky Rose question is the biggest one for me, because Ben Gibson has been, like really, really good in those earlier rounds of the knockouts. So, and he scored as well, and Rose has looked great coming off the bench. Like, I'm pretty sure Rose, did he score against in Maitland in our second game against Macarthur? I'm pretty sure he came off the bench in that game. If he didn't score, he would have gone close. So, yeah, like that. That's sort of how I'd line up. I'd keep it very similar to the last match anyway. But yeah, move Grozos forward and replace him with Sushnia, and then it's the Gibson Rose question for me.
I think it'll all be down to Lockie's fitness. Yeah. Anyway, so are you fairly confident of a win, Andy? You there, Andy?
There's been a storm.
It's knocked out his comms. Well, what about you, Matt? What are your thoughts? Are you confident of a win?
Yeah, I am confident of a win. I think we're probably a 75% chance of a win. I think that the timing of the match has sort of played into our hands. Like, you can't expect the Heidelberg team to stay fit for 52 weeks a year. As much as they would be looking forward to this match, they've probably had quite a few sort of celebrations over the last few weeks as well. Yeah, I think that we should win. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, but I've got the feeling that we will apply a bit more clinical pressure than what they've maybe experienced over, their last couple of matches against the A-League against A-League opposition, because like you sort of said earlier in the recording, a lot of clubs early on in this competition do sort of treat it as pre-season. So yeah, I've got a good feeling about this. I think this will be a bit of silverware.
Fingers crossed. I'm also confident myself. Because it's so close to the start of the season that it's sort of naturally coinciding with a ramp up of intensity in training. So I would be more confident facing them now than I would have been so in the middle of when they were knocking out. If we'd have played them instead of Auckland, I reckon they'd have knocked us out a couple of rounds ago.
Good chance.
But because they've finished their season and they're sort of tailing off. We're ramping up to start our season. I think it's sort of timing is sort of really good for us, but it's still going to be a tough game. They've matched it up to 3 A-League teams that were all better than us last season. So, anything can happen, and it's a one-off game. Andy, are you back? Have you got any thoughts on what you think is going to happen?
I reckon there's a good chance that his laptop ran out of
it's quite possible
batteries.
Yeah, we might have lost him. Righto. So unless we hear from Andy, his mute
Just
keeps popping on and off. So yeah, I think he is there, but something's going on in the background. But we'll push on anyway.
As professional as a Paramount broadcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. Although yeah, it's. Don't get me started. Righto. So we've covered off that. And the only other sort of thing that we really should talk about before we wrap things up is the New Balance kits. Matt, they quickly knocked out a kit after they announced that New Balance had taken over had gotten the gig as the Jets apparel supplier. Andy, are you back?
They like a kit.
There we go. He is. We'll quickly rewind and just get your thoughts on how you think the game's going to go on the weekend. You don't have to give a score, but are you confident?
I'm confident enough to give a score that we'll get a 3-1 victory with goals to Mizanuma, Dobson and Burtoncello.
Wow, that's very specific. So
Yeah, lock it in, boys. There's your bets for the weekend.
Absolutely. And Andy, kits. What are your thoughts so far on the New Balance kit that we saw during the Australia Cup game, which was giving me very Newcastle United vibes from the 2000 era, and the new ones that have come out, the away ones, giving very Reebok vibes from 2005 2006.
Yeah, I believe it's the home kit, the gold check one. I don't hate that in the women's with the NIB sponsor on it, but this Emerald Horizon one, I don't know. I don't really rate it. But that's just a sponsor. It's not the overall kit.
Yep.
I quite like that away kit. I think I was saying to you, Furns, before we hit record that it gives me sort of the when Mark Milligan last played for the club vibes,
Yep.
and I wonder if that's strategic or not. But yeah, I think you'll see quite a few of those popping up with if we go on a bit of a run and win the cup and everything like that. There might be a few people with Milligan kits out there again. The goalkeeper purple's a bit interesting, but that's for one person to wear and they enjoy it and deal with it.
Well, Matt, they haven't. Obviously, they look nice, but no one's actually really held a kit in their hands or actually worn one yet. Because I'm pretty sure the Australia Cup ones are all. They haven't. The pre-orders haven't come in yet. Like you could pre-order them, but I don't think they were delivering them until the end of the month or something like that. So, which is a bit weird, but anyway. So we've seen the kits; they look nice, but it's all going to be down to what the fabric's like. So who knows? But what are your initial thoughts?
I'll agree with Andy. I didn't like the keeper kit, and on that initial sort of social media post, they had a third of it was keeper kits, and I'm like, geez, that purple. I also like the checks that are like in the gold. Sort of breaks it up a little bit. The gold's like an interesting color.
Very hard to get right. Very hard to get right.
Yeah, 100%. And but I do much prefer, I guess, this iteration of the kits rather than the straight out rip off Jet/Barcelona jerseys from however many years ago. Yeah, quality will be a big thing. Like I don't mind the white, to be honest with you. Like as much as it is very old school. Like maybe that's sort of where I remember us being like a good team and all the rest of it. So if we can bring more points home if we can get more points from away games this year than what we have in the last couple, then I'll probably buy an away kit.
Yeah, I've always been biased against white kits, mainly due to previously being firmly implanted in active support. The white kits don't stand up very well to beer showers, although for long stretches that wasn't really a problem because we never scored goals. So, but yeah, the white kits generally tend to get quite stained after a period of time. So that's the only sort of reason I'm not a huge fan of anything with white in it. But it's a little bit easier to hide those things in a gold or anything darker. But yeah, anyway, they look nice. It'll be interesting to see what they're actually like, feel and fit and whether they're slimming or a little bit
nothing slimming,
nothing slim, yeah. But the other stuff that they've got around it's also going to be interesting to see the other stuff they've got around the kits as well. So your jackets and your track pants, your polo shirts, your scarves and all the training gear and all that sort of other stuff that was never really anything that
hats.
Legend did. And they're still not Jet Shapes hats, but that's something we'll work on. But all that sort of thing that is not, some clubs have got a bigger merchandise offering than others. It'd be nice to see us expand that a little bit more. And it'd also be nice to see our kits in a rebel sport for a change rather than seeing all the other teams represented in our local area in Rebel Sport, but not the Jets. So I'm being reliably
Rebel
informed.
Sport, Charlestown being as big as it is.
Yeah,
surely you can fit a Jets jersey in there.
I'm being reliably informed that they will be in Rebel Sport at some point. So that will be an option. Thankfully, it won't just be an online only thing, or a little rented cubicle out the back of Hamilton, where the Legend shop was for the last 6 months of their contract, which I'm pretty sure he still has an absolute shit ton of gear that he hasn't been able to move. So keep an eye out for those on your local discount websites at a cut price rate, because they had heaps of stock. I went in there to buy a couple of training shirts and stuff to wear to work underneath my work uniform, and they had heaps of stuff left over. So it'll be interesting to see if you're still going to be able to get those.
It looks as though the Australia Cup jersey is now available. You can get it $130 on the shop, and there's also a Australia Cup finalist hoodie for about $90 and a white T-shirt as well, going for $50 each. So
about standard pricing. So it's not anything massively. It'd be nice if they were a little bit cheaper, but it's sort of the going rate for jerseys, and some of the Premier League jerseys are even more expensive, like those Nike jerseys that were being sold. Like there was two versions. You can buy a cheaper version, or then the more expensive versions were like north of $180, which is ridiculous to be spending on kits. So thank God we don't have to put up with that. But I've not minded the New Balance stuff, and the New Balance stuff around some of the other clubs has been quite good as well. So fingers crossed we get treated well as well. Anyway, now any other news we need to cover off? We've done a good hour, and that's still left plenty in the tank for when we do a season preview to talk about transfers and all that other stuff as well.
I think I'm good, mate. Like I reckon that we've actually done well to keep it together for this long.
We'll be pushing our luck to continue on any longer. So I agree absolutely. Righto. Okay. Thank you very much, Matt, for joining me, mate.
Appreciate it. Good to talk to you guys again. Can't wait for the season to start. Come on, you Jets.
Come on, the Jets for the weekend. Shook out the cobwebs. And Andy, welcome back. And hopefully we hear you a little bit more regularly this season as well. But good to have you back.
I should do. We will clear the schedule, we'll make it happen. So I did at one point there, just to apologise to our plethora of listeners, that it actually come up that the Discord had disconnected.
Ooh.
So I don't know what had happened there.
Yeah, no, that was that. We've stayed connected the whole time. That was your internet.
No, absolutely, but just thought I'd mention it to try and make some excuse for my inferior suppliers.
No, it's all good, mate. Teething problems are always going to happen. Anyway, thanks very much to both of you for joining me. Thanks very much to everybody for listening to this episode, and make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest episodes as we head towards the A-League season. But it's going to be Tenterhooks Saturday night, 7:40 p.m. kickoff. The game is on 10 plus or 10, whatever the 10 website is, as well as Paramount Plus. So watch the game live, watch it back. If you can get down there and make some noise. Fingers crossed for a good result for us on Saturday, and it'd be nice to have some positivity heading into a season for once. And I hope I haven't just jinxed it. Thanks very much, everybody. If you want to get along to the Newcastle Football.net website for the forums, podcast, all the other news articles that haven't been updated in ages, which will hopefully get rolling again once the season gets a little bit closer. But thanks very much, and until a season preview takes place, come on, you Jets.
Come on, you
Jets.
And yes, Marcel Jerkos. Yeah, I think that went pretty well, considering how long it's been since we've actually recorded.
Yeah, well done, Furns. It's like you've been practicing those intros and outros for the last 6 months.
I absolutely haven't been. That's why I stumbled over the last section.